Welcome back to Book of Boba Fett helmet, and we've already done the resin coat that I like to do first. We don't have any layer lines that we can feel anymore, except for a few little rings up at the top. My next step is to sand this, and I'm also breaking a rule here. Most makers will tell you not to use an electric sander on your prints. They have a good reason for it. If you stay in one spot too long, you will burn your plastic. Well, one, I'm on resin right now, you can still burn it. But two, as long as you keep moving your sander over your print, you shouldn't have an issue. And then three, even if I do slightly burn it, it's gonna get covered up. And I don't typically use an electric sander for my next steps for post-processing with filler primer. Filler primer I always do by hand, but resin is a little tough to sand, so I just use a detail palm sander. I've seen others online use regular orbital sanders. If you're careful, you could probably use a belt sander and move the print around. I also have a finger detail sander for smaller pieces, but for this we're going to work with just the regular palm sander. And if you're dealing with particulate flying around, please wear PPE. It doesn't have to be a fancy respirator like this. You can use an N95 and be just fine. But please protect yourself. If I wasn't wearing my glasses, I would be wearing goggles as well. So here we go. Okay, so as you're doing this, what you're really looking for in your resin is anything that looks like it's an imperfection. First off, I can see that I need to put a little bit more resin around the back of the seam. That gap didn't quite get all the way filled, but the front looks pretty good. On top of things that you're looking for are things like this, where the resin is kind of pockmarking. And you would have something similar to this with any coat that you put on trying to get rid of filler lines, print lines, excuse me. But we're looking for stuff like that. We're seeing if we can't smooth that out so when we go to our filler primer, it has an easier, shallower gap to fill. Let's keep going. All right, here's another spot that was a little rough with the resin. It's right around where that seam line was, around the dent. The resin didn't quite cover it up, so I'm focusing a little bit more time here trying to smooth this out for the filler primer so it has less work to do. We're gonna hit it a little bit harder, and then we're gonna move on. All right, so looks nice and scuffed now, but we've smoothed out some of the bits of the resin that were bumpy from drying. Still got a little bit of visible layer on the top. That'll come out with the filler primer, but overall I'm really happy with this finish. I don't feel anything massive that needs to be knocked down. So one thing I always stress when you're working with stuff like this, you're not sanding to get back down to the original. You are polishing the material you have put down to resurface. And there's a big difference in the amount of pressure that you put onto a model when you think that way. So next step from here, wash, soak in water, soft sponge, and let it dry completely. And this can be the hardest part, is having patience for your models to dry, because the next step is adding paint, and adding paint to something that has any kind of moisture on it is problematic. But here we go. See you in the next one.